All right, here we are with Morty, the mortuary dog. Let's see if he's all on the camera here. You know, the only thing about Facebook Live is that that screen is so small, so I may have to cut off my head just a smidge to make sure that Morty gets in there. And I want to make sure and stay in the shape. So this is the very beginning. So I'm going to take you guys on this adventure as we're training Morty, who came from a shelter. Again, he's about a year old. And actually, you know what I can do? I can bring this chair over and use that. And he may want to jump in my lap and that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to let him for right now. All right, so we're going to start our click and treat training. Clicker training or click and treat training. I try to bind them all up there at one time. And so, again, you're going to be on this whole entire adventure along with me. And so just to explain a little bit about click and treat for those of you that don't necessarily know, and then there's some of you that are greatly experienced in click and treat, and you may say some of the stuff that I'm saying is not correct or not. And as usual, I'm very happy to discuss anything, and you guys can feel free to correct me and add stuff on there. I'm not thin-skinned at all. All right, so click and treat is using a clicker. Let me bring out the clicker. Here is the clicker. Makes that sound. And it uses food. So there's three things you need that are essential for the success of click and treat, besides the dog and the human being, right? You need a clicker, and you need a high-valued treat. So quite often kibble, unless your dog is just crazy about your kibble, is usually not that high value because that's something they get all the time, right? Or it's a little bit more bland, and so that particular thing is not necessarily what is really going to motivate your dog, right? And then the other thing you're going to need is a dog that has a strong desire for food, right? If you don't have a dog that has a strong desire for food, then the click and treat isn't as effective as with a dog that has a very strong desire. So if you have a dog with a low desire, the high value food, which in this case is I have both hot dogs and chicken, and I'm going to find out which one really the dog values more. If it's none of those, then maybe I'll try to find some liver treats or something like that. But again, you're on this adventure with me, and you're going to see some of the things that happen behind the curtain, right? And so not everything always goes well the very first time. We spend a little time trying to figure out what is it that motivates this dog, you know, if we're going to have training. I'm going to talk a little bit more about food reward versus toy reward in just a minute, but you need to find out some of the things about the dog before you get going. So I know for sure earlier when I first got the dog, you know, came to me and liked taking treats out of my hand, and the treats at that time was the dog's kibble. So if the dog liked that, then if you have a high value treat, which is usually something meat-wise, you know, like a hot dog or like chicken, like I said before, little bits of hamburger meat or whatever it may be that thing that the dog really likes. So remember, you need a clicker, you need high value treat, and you need a dog that has a little bit of hunger in him or an extremely high desire to eat. A lot of Labrador Retrievers, you can feed them and then use click and treat right afterwards because they often believe that they're starving even after they just ate, right? Not all dogs are like that. Now this is a really warm day, so you see this dog's tongues hanging out, that kind of stuff. I did have him out a little bit on a tie. Remember, this dog has kennel cough, and so right now I'm temporarily in my backyard. My other dogs are put up because I don't want them to come in contact with each other. I'm not going to be here very long, and I'm going to take the dog out. It's just right now this is the best place I have for shade and don't want to be trying to do this in the heat. So let me bend down the camera just a little bit more. That way you can see a little bit of Morty and what it is we're going to be doing. And so, what I was going to talk about is the difference between food reward and toy reward. So if you know anything about us, you know that I love to use toy reward for all of our detection dogs. And even for some of our bite dogs, we use the toy as a reward to get the dog to release, to recall, and use it for some of the obedience. So the toy is really probably 90% of our training. And I believe that works better for us because the desire, a dog that we select for that toy, that strong desire for that toy, often surpasses hunger, even surpasses an injury, even surpasses sometimes even heat. And so that desire stays really strong. Now, food from time to time can have these high peaks and very low valleys. And a dog that's really hot may not have a strong desire to eat. So we're going to find out right now this dog's a little bit overheated. Not overheated, but heated. is in a new environment, and so we're going to see where this dog's desire is for a treat in those conditions. Sometimes stress reduces the desire to eat, just like us human beings. Sometimes under stress we don't like to eat. Sometimes under stress a lot of us like to eat a lot, right? And so everybody's different, every dog is different, and so you need to understand that that's going to fluctuate too in regard to food. But the toy also in detection work can actually be hidden with the substance. So if we're training a narcotics dog or we're training a bomb dog, we can put the toy right alongside, and it doesn't really contaminate the odor or the substance that we're using for the odor as much as food might, and we'll get all over it. So when you're using hot dogs, you get the hot dogs over your hand, or the oils from the treats all over your hand, and then you're touching the substance, and now the dog is looking for only bombs with hot dog odor on them, right? Or narcotics with chicken juice all over them, because it's so hard to manage. And of course you use gloves and all this kind of stuff, but it still gets on there. So there's a lot of reasons why I like toy, and those are just some of them. And then for a dog like Morty, what we're going to train a lot of tricks, right, and things for the dog to do for the people that he's going to be providing the service for, the therapy for people that are stressed or sad about a loved one passing. We want to do kind of some fun tricks and things like that, and those often are very easily trained using the click and treat method, and so we use that too. All right, so there's a little bit about that. So what we're going to do first to start this process is we have to associate the click with the treat, because what we're going to end up doing in the end is the dog is going to get the reward from the click, not necessarily from the treat. Now the treat, actually receiving it, is the ultimate reward, but what we want to do is that when the dog performs a behavior, we want to mark it very finely and quickly and at a specific time, so the dog understands when he does that, that's what we want, and the click in his brain will associate a reward of the food at the time of the behavior. So the click becomes kind of the replacement for the treat until you can get the treat. So it's kind of like the promise of the treat. And so it's like saying good, which you can use also as a trigger, and not just the clicker. I have a friend named Steve White who's up in Washington. He makes his mouth click and does something really loud. It sounds exactly like a clicker, so he doesn't need a clicker. He just makes that sound. My buddy Aldo Secchi, he likes to go good, good, and he uses that. And you can see the dog even gets motivated from that, right? But the clicker is we're going to associate the click with the treat, and then as we do more of these videos, you'll see how that all works and how we use that. But right now, the job that I have right now is to associate the treat with the click. So if I were standing, I would stand on the leash so that the dog can't run around, because that'll slow down your training. So keep a leash on your dog, stand on the leash so the dog can't run around and visit all kinds of other things, because we want to focus on receiving the treat. All right? I keep, right now, what I have them in this plastic container, and I put, again, some hot dogs and some bits of chicken in there, and they're sliced up into little tiny bits, because we want to be able for the dog to get the treat and consume it very quickly, because we want to move on to the next movement. So I'll take out a few in my hand. Right now I can see the dog is interested, which is really good. The tail is moving, is wagging, right? And now the dog's looking because he thinks I dropped it. So right at the same time, I'm giving the dog the treat for the time being. We're gonna click the clicker, right? Morty, come here. Yep, here. Good. The reason there was a delay is because he was sniffing it, right? I want him to taste it and hear the click at the same time. Good. Well, he likes these hot dogs. Nice. So we just keep doing this. This is all we're doing, associating the treat with the click. Now, those of you that know this kind of stuff, is this operant conditioning right now? Is it classical conditioning? Is it the Hans, the clever Hans effect? What is this? If you were to put a name on it, what is it that we're doing? Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, or the clever Hans effect? Good. A lot of people get the two confused between operant conditioning and classical conditioning. Nice. And I'm not looking for behaviors right now. Now he's sitting because he thinks probably that's what I want him to do, but I'm not giving him any commands. Again, I like to really narrow down and compartmentalize the training that we're trying to do. So I really want it to be really small. And right now this component is only associating the food with the click. Good. Now let's see how he feels about the chicken. Ah, nope. So I don't want him cheating. I don't want him coming up here and getting the food. Now some dogs you might have a trouble doing this. A lab might jump up and knock everything over. So just, you know what the boundaries are and things like that, that maybe you need to put it up high. Maybe you need a treat pocket or something like that that you're going to reach into. So these are just little bits of chicken. Ooh, he really likes that. Nice. He's really looking for some that dropped. Good. Nice. Okay, again, we're not looking for any behaviors. We're just doing the click at the time we're giving through. Oh, he really seems to like this chicken. So do you see the difference in his ears, in his attention, picked up a little bit with the chicken. So remember, the value is how strong the desire is for that particular thing, and that is the thing that we're focusing on. Oop, that breaks apart. So what I did is I just used, I happen to have a can of chicken chunks, and it really doesn't work that well, so I wouldn't recommend the chicken chunks because they're very brittle and they kind of fall apart. So better to boil a chicken breast and then cut it into little tiny squares. Again, you can use things like dried chicken liver. They have other kinds of treats that you can find. I don't like the commercial treats because they get the chemicals that are used to preserve them, kind of mask some of the flavor for the dog. But there are some good ones out there. There's some holistic, and there's some other brands out there that have a lot of flavor, and so you may be able to find those. Choking on the chicken. That's a little bit of the kennel cough probably. So I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to give him any commands. I could have said here or his name or something like that. Again, we just want to keep it simple. We don't want to cause too much confusion in the beginning. Nice. So this canned chicken's a little bit of a bust, but the dog really likes it, right? So again, we can boil it. Let's do a little bit more, and I'm going to go back to the hot dogs and just see if there really still is a marked difference of his attention on whatever it is. These are beef hot dogs. You can get chicken hot dogs if you don't want to give your dog beef hot dogs. Nice. A little bit easier to handle because they're these nice little chunks. I just took a hot dog and you got a knife and cut it into little slices and then cut the slices in half. Yeah, I think the chicken's a little bit higher, but he still likes the hot dog. Nice. 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 Oops, dropped it. And one more. Nice. There was some chicken in my hand. All right, good job, Morty. Good job. So we'll continue that. We're going to do that again later on tonight, one more time. Tomorrow morning we'll do it again, and we'll make that connection really strong. The tendency for some people is to quit early, right? You see your dog, here's the click and the tail's wagging, and you quit and then start doing the training for the behaviors and that kind of stuff. What I like to do, both with the toy and the food, is repeat really, around, I don't know, 2 days. Again, some people say that that's very long. I like to make it super strong so that click really clearly in that dog's mind is associated with that thing. So the answer for the operant, classical, and the clever Hans effect, you can find in our Train the Dog Trainer program, which is at falcodogtraining.com, and you'll find the answers to that training question on there. falcodogtraining.com. Just go to the store. When you see the store, just look around. You'll see the product there for Train the Dog Trainer. There's a lot of videos. There's going to be more videos as we're doing training. Some of these videos of this training will be going up there. Just a reminder for any of you that didn't see part one, Morty here is a mortuary dog. Came up with the name Morty based on mortuary, and he's a rescue dog, a shelter dog. You can see in the video that he's very, very dirty. I cannot wash him. It's 10 days from the day that I adopted him, and now we're on day 4. and so we have a few more days of him being. We're going to get him cleaned up. Sorry, we lost connection there. We're going to get him cleaned up right after that, and get him brushed out, and he's going to look really, really cute. He's about a year old. He's a sweet dog. He loves the kids and doesn't really jump on them and bother them right now. The first 2 weeks of having a rescue or shelter dog at your home are where you're going to start. The longer the dog is, the longer the dog is with you, the more of the dog's natural personality will begin to come out. The first few days you don't see everything because the dog is in a new environment. Like him, he has kennel cough, he got neutered, so there was a lot going on, and so now we'll start to see some of that personality come out. Right now the click and treat looks like it's going well. He really liked those treats we were using, and we're going to continue to make that connection as time is going on. If you want more about our dog training and want to be a trainer, just go to Falco Dog Training, falcodogtraining.com, and to get into one of our dog training programs. Some of our other products are on there, and you will find those on there too. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Morty, the Mortuary Dog Part 2. And tomorrow we'll have another section, and we're going to go a little bit farther on the click and treat. So I'm going to continue tonight and tomorrow. Like I said, you can go 2 to 3 days, I think, and then really making that click and treat really firm. We'll see how it's going tomorrow, and I'll just let you see what's happening. Again, this is just really a behind the curtains look, so you're going to see everything for the most part. There's going to be probably a couple days that I can't get it set up and I'll have to do training without the camera, but I'm going to do my best to keep these things coming. All right. Let me know what you think. Make sure and subscribe as you're watching this, whether it's the live version or the recorded version. That way you can be alerted to the next time we're on live. And share with your friends that are in the dog business or love dogs or just love to see what's happening with Morty, the mortuary dog. All right, I will see you at the next one. Take care. Talk to you later. Nice job, Morty. Nice job.